Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmaking.guru here again, back with part 10 of our build of the Bandai 1/100th scale Master Grade Freedom Gundam version Wolf. So, Master Chief is back here. He seems to want to instill himself in all my videos now, so we may allow that to happen. Let's get him out of the way. It's going to be hopefully a quick one today. We've got 3 real sections to do. One last little tiny bit of weathering, the assembly and construction, because I want to get this thing built now. I've got other things lining up. I've got a commission of other things I want to do, and I need to get this done. So we're going to just get this finished, get it built, show you that, and then the final showy off photographs. So I'll dive straight into it. Not so much waffle today. Deep voice, by the way. Feeling a bit rough and ready this morning. Had maybe a number of Guinnesses last night, so little bit worse for wear. But I sacrifice everything for my lovely viewers. So I shall plough on through the headache and Barry White voice. What have we got? We've got a little tiny assemblage of parts here. These are all for the feet and the legs. What we're going to do today is use some of these puppies. Tamiya Weathering Master Pastels. I've covered them in previous videos, like the Drebin Striker build. What we're going to do is just suggest some dirt and earth on the feet, and mostly on the bottoms, on the tops and sides, and a little bit on the shins. Because these things are massive. These vehicles are, you know, 20, 30 metres tall. I don't know how tall the Freedom is, 18 metres, something like that. And it's going to walk on the ground and not just in space and on concrete all the time. It's going to pick up dirt and dust. I'm going to use this to suggest kind of sandy, dusty, earthy tones. They're a bit like makeup applicator blocks. These are specifically for model making, a bit like oil paints. They're specifically for model making, so they're a little finer, a bit moister than you'd be used to. But you can use standard artist pastels. You go to the art store and buy a load of pastel crayons. They're just blocks of pastel, and you shave little bits off or you draw with them. They're exactly the same kind of thing. These are a bit moister and a bit finer, but artist pastels are fine. It's like oil paints. The model making oil paints are fine and not very oily. The artist oils are a bit oily, a bit more oily, and not as fine, but they're just as good. So if you haven't got one of these, or if you can't find these anywhere, you can buy them online. But if you can't find them, just go to your local hobby shop or art shop and ask for artists' pastels. The only thing is these are all made into preset colours, which are kind of handy for what you're looking for. So it saves you a bit of mixing. But you can scrape off bits of pastel powder and mix them in to make different colours. So how does this work? 3 different colours. This is set A, which is sand, light sand, and mud. And all we're going to do, I've broken the pastel up with a little bit of something, just with a stick or whatever you've got to hand. I've got one of these crocodile clip sticks. Broken up, so I've got some powder. There's 2 parts to the applicator, and you can use the one that comes with it, or if you can find a different one, that's fine. You can get third-party ones. The foam piece and the brush. The brush is ideal for brushing on the powder if you want it to collect on raised edges and corners and things like that, just to do like I did with the dry brushing. You can do the same thing with pastels. If you brush this over the piece lightly and then blow off the excess, it'll just hang around on edges and ridges. This applicator on the end, the sponge, is better for dabbing on the pastel to make discoloration, like a dusty powdery layer. You'll see we're going to use this, you'll see how it comes out. Now, things to be aware of with pastels. They're not permanent, so if you put a load of pastel on something and handle it, you'll transfer fingerprints, you'll pick up pastel on your fingers, you'll transfer pastel from your fingers to other parts of the model, so wear gloves. And also, once they're on, you need to fix them in place with either your gloss or matte varnish. So this is kind of the last step you want to do as weathering. Or if it's a middle step, then you want to make sure you're varnishing over the top. Now, it will reduce down when you varnish it. When you spray a varnish on, you might have a bright area of pastel shading that suddenly fades a bit and looks a little less intense. That's normal. It dissolves a little bit and goes soluble into the liquid that you spray on, the varnish. So sometimes it's best to do a little bit more than you think you need, just because you know when it's sprayed on it'll reduce down a bit. Don't go too far. If you're looking at it and think, Jesus, that's too much, then it's probably too much. But you can be a little bit generous because it will reduce down slightly the more varnish you put on top. If you do a light coat, it won't diminish down much. So we are going to apply some dust and earth, just lightly, to all the foot parts. Now I've kept them all separate because, as I've said before, I've assembled these little parts for the feet. These are gloss, these are going to be matte, and I don't want to build them all and spray it matte varnish because I won't have shiny on this anymore. That would be kind of stupid. So we're going to do these first, and I've got them all here so I can see how it all goes together. So dead simple. I'm going to take some mud, first of all. Start with the darkest colour. I'm just dipping it in the pastel, and then I'm just going to gently dot the applicator on it just to build up some pastel shading. Now it goes on matte, so if it's a shiny part it won't look shiny, but when I don't even know what I'm saying now. Again, I'm not feeling too great today. So that's just going to go on there. It tends to collect around ridges and raised areas. It is slightly sticky. Not adhesive sticky, but it's just kind of slightly mungy, so it won't go everywhere. Slightly moist. So as you can see there, I don't know if it'll come out camera. Yeah, you can see that. It's come out ever so slightly earth stained, and that's what we're looking for. Just adjust my focus. So I'm going to do a bit more, because this is the dark coat, remember. This is the low down dark coat. So I can go a bit generous. And there we have it. Lots of earthy tones. Now it's not gone everywhere, and that's fine. What I'll do next is I'll take some lighter tones, so some of this, and it doesn't matter if you mix and match, take some of this, what's this one? Sand. Again, just dot it in the pastel. And I'm going to do a little bit less, but I'm just going to dot this on to give some highlights to that dark earth. I'll do it over this because some powder does come off. And this just acts as a highlight almost for the earth. So you've got the earthy tone, and now I'm doing some splotches of sand, so it lightens it. You want it to be subtle, you don't want to go too crazy. And it will collect round edges. So that now looks kind of earthy. Now it looks extreme on camera, as all the things I do, because of the white balance on this phone and the lighting in here. It looks a bit over the top, but don't worry, in real life it looks very subtle, and when I spray it, like I say with the varnish, it will tone down. So I will go ahead and do the rest. Now for example on the foot, that's the base of the foot. Here's the top of the foot, so they go like that. So I want that sand and earth to carry on up the foot. So I'm going to put some around the base here. Again, this is the dark earthy tone first. If you go a bit too heavy, you can just rub it with your finger to blend it, or with the applicator, or with the brush. I'm going to do the under edge because that's where the earth would be. I'm just going to go around the edge. I'm being subtle, and I'm doing this very gently. And again, you might get a splob, but don't worry, you can fade it or tease it with the brush just to blend it slightly so you don't get a big blob, or you can use your finger. That's now on there. What's the next part of the foot? The next part is this. I'll do some more going up here. Just didn't get much on there. Oh, I forgot the light colour. Hello. So we have the light colour. Again, just gently on the edge, a little less this time. Gently on the edges. Doesn't do any harm to go a bit crazy with it, because again we are varnishing it. I made it catch on the edges here, which is kind of cool. It's a bit of a straight line on there, so I've just blended some more in here to fade it. Don't know if you can see that. The white part goes in the middle here. There's not really much to do on here because it's kind of up from the ground on. I've not weathered right up to the top, so I'm just going to do a little bit of the light colour here, just to tint it ever so slightly from the edge. It's probably a bit too much, so I can just rub it with my finger. You can take this off with water if you want, while it's still fairly fresh, or a cotton bud, which I shall do now. Gone a bit heavy there. So you can just rub it off with the cotton bud if you think you've gone too far. We have the ankle guards. Now again, these are quite high up, so, and I've only done the weathering up to a little bit, but you'll assume there's some dust and dirt. And this is if it's kicking up dirt this direction, it's going to get caught here. So this is the front. I'm just going to I'm using the light one now because it's more of a contrast with the, actually no, let's use the dark one. Use the dark one. Just on this bottom edge, just to suggest dirt and dust being kicked up. Do some around there. Maybe not so much around the engines because heat comes out of those, out of these exhausts. The heat comes out of those, so you wouldn't, anything on there will get burnt away or melted off. A bit of dirt and dust, some around the back. Again, I'm just going from the bottom edge up. I'm just keeping it subtle. I'll do a little streak there because it looked like there was one and it tickled my fancy. And it's just like dry brushing with oils. Just go where the pigment takes you. Okay, what else have we got? Now we have got these parts that go inside the foot. Now I want these to be shiny and gloss, so I can't matte varnish these once I've put this stuff on. And I also can't gloss varnish them because then it will make the dirt and earth look glossy. So what I'm going to do is leave these for the moment, leave them untouched, and then when I assemble the foot, I'll put this piece in, then I'll add some pastel to it, and then I'll put the rest over, because once this is in place, I'm not going to be varnishing anything else. So I'll get everything else varnished and ready, and then assembly, and then done. So I'm going to leave these for the moment, and we'll do some pastel shading on them, just because if I do it now, and then I start building the Gundam, I'm going to be taking the pastel off with my hands, even if I wear gloves. So I'm going to leave those out for now. I just built them so I could get them ready. And last but not least, we've got the bottom armour on the leg. And I'm going to do the same again here, keep it subtle, bit of dark earth, because it stands out more on this white armour. I'm just going to go from the bottom and just do a little hint of staining, pigment. It kind of looks similar to the oil staining we did for the heat streaks, but I'm just going to do a little bit just to discolour and suggest the kick up of dirt and dust. Now you can use these all over the gunplay if you want. You can, use them everywhere. It's as much as you want. They are really great to use, and they're very quick, and they're no drying time because they're just pastel powders. They're just instantly on. So I will do that. So that is now done. Again, remember, it looks more extreme than it is in real life. On camera, it looks more extreme. You can see the white and the pastel powder because it overexposes the white on this camera. So to me, it looks nice and subtle. It's just a subtle discoloration. And that is all I need to do. So I'll go off and do the other foot. I'm not really going to go much higher than that. I just want to suggest the kick up of dirt and dust that would transfer to those parts, because that's the part that's at ground level. So I'll go off and do the rest of that. When we come back, I'll have matte varnished it. Hopefully it won't rain today. And we shall start the assemblies. So I'll go and do that. Excitement time. Back in a moment. And we're back. Right, okay. Everything has now been matte varnished, weathered and everything else. I did a couple of last bits off camera. I painted the sight part for the beam rifle. I just literally brushed that clear green. To me, a clear green. You can brush the clear colours. They're quite good on tiny pieces like that. There's a clear piece. And it looks really nice because it's kind of collected more around the ridge, so it's a bit darker. And I also applied some gloss varnish to the eyes and upper camera. On the old bonce. And last of all, I applied the sticker for the rear camera. Now that everything's done, and gave that a couple of coats of gloss varnish. I just brushed the gloss varnish on. Gloss varnish on. Smashing. Outstanding. Let's start again. You can just brush. I'm using the Pledge multi-surface wax. You can just brush it on. And what I tend to do is when you matte varnish the whole head, of course the stickers go a bit more matte. They're still a bit shiny, and they're quite good at staying shiny. But yeah, just a couple of very light brush coats of the Pledge multi-surface wax. It self-levels beautifully, so there's no brush marks. And that just holds them in place, locks them in place, and also gives them a nice shine to stand out from the rest of the head. So, now is my favourite part. It's time to build stuff. Basically, everything's done. Some assemblies are already pre-built, but everything's done, so it's time to build the torso, build the arm, build the legs, build the head. I'll put the V-fin on. Get it all together, and kaboom, everything is finished. I haven't painted or built the stand yet, but I'll finish this build on the mobile suit, because showing me building a stand is not that interesting. So, one other thing as well, I put the cover back on the beam rifle. I took the cover off, the white and red bit, and matte varnished that, so now you can see the difference between the shiny gunmetal and metal areas, and the matte beam rifle cover. So, that's the kind of the difference you're looking at. I was going to actually matte varnish this, but then I thought, no, and then touch up the silver bits, and I thought, no, you know what, I'll just leave it shiny, because it looks quite good as shiny. So anyway, let's crack on. I shall jump to a timey, speedy, uppy, buttony, pressy mode for das building. And then when we come back, we will look at the finished thing. Dead excited for this. Right, back in a moment. Let me go and activate the super speed device. Okay, right, that's the time-lapsey nonsense done. Now, the funny thing is, right, whenever I watch my own time-lapse back, this is what it looks like. I love watching time-lapse. It just looks like I'm going like this, and just a magical thing appears out of it. Random collection of nonsense. Anyway, enough of that. Right, the build is all done. And so now, let us see the finished thing. Ooh. And ta-da! Here we have the finished Bandai Master Grade 1/100 scale Freedom Gundam version Wolf. My own colour scheme, decals by Samuel Decal, and everything else straight out of the box. Completely repainted, weathered, and everything else. My goodness, it's a beauty. I can't even fit, it's quite big. I can't even fit it all on the screen. Here's my hand for comparison. When you're building a master grade and you've built a few and you get the parts and you think, it's not going to be that big. Yeah, then you get these big ass wings and you can't fit it on screen. And you wonder why I like these Gundam with the wings, because they're just massive, man. They make a normal Gundam look enormous and huge and brilliant. So this is the finished thing. I'll give you a little spin round. It's on my little spray booth rotatey thing, manually operated, so it's a bit wobbly. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with this. I love the way the metallics stand out shiny against everything else being matte. That wing is not straight, and that's going to drive me nuts. Hang on, I need to adjust that. It has to be right. So the thrusters on the back here and the little accents on the legs. Loving the way that's come out with the shine compared to the matte, like on the foot here. Absolutely adore the wings with the gun built in. I mean, wings are fantastic. We'll put a big massive cannon in there as well. Wow. Yeah, I'm just loving this kit. For anybody that wants to build this, a couple of pointers that I've found as I came across. I mentioned about the seam line in the head. It's not the end of the world. You could leave it in and just say it's a panel line. I did try and fill it, but it didn't come out perfect, so there's still a slight seam line there. The hands are the 3-finger, 1-finger type, where this part of the hand moves and this part of the hand moves and the thumb moves. And as with every other gunpla I've built that has that kind of hand, it won't hold anything. It won't hold the gun without any blue tack. So there is blue tack holding this gun in place because it's just going to droop otherwise and flop around. So they look great, but they don't hold shit, basically. So, never mind. What else did I have? There was the wings. You can see on the wings here, this back wing, this one. There is a piece in here that I've painted metallic colours. It goes onto the back of the wing. This whole back wing here, let me turn it around so you can see it. This whole back wing unit here did not want to stay in place at all. It just popped out all the time. Even though I've got loads of paint on the pegs and the holes, it still wouldn't stay in place. So I've had to glue this wing part to the little metallic plate that you can see here, hopefully, behind the head. A little bit of, just put it together, a little bit of glue, clamped it, and it's fine. Also had to glue this part of the wing onto this part, the top grey part onto this red part. This is one unit here, and this is a separate part. It clips in, but it doesn't want to stay there. So again, this was glued in place. Didn't have to glue. Did I have to glue? Yes, I did. I did have to glue something else. These little thrusters on the base of the feet, they just slide into the ankle guard, and they don't want to stay in. So they're glued in place. I actually had this one down here. You can't see it fall off while I was putting this thing together. So yeah, they need to be glued in as well. They don't have to be, but they will fall out a lot. So yeah. Other than that, though, what a fantastic build. Dead straightforward. I'm really proud of the way the eyes, I don't know if you'll see it, but the way the eyes shine through when they hit the light because of the gloss varnish I've put on. The cameras are still shiny. It's a great face. I'm loving the pencil I used on the mask for the vents. That worked out really well. It's gone a bit faint now. I might have to touch that up with a bit more pencil just to darken it a bit. But absolutely loving this. I'm so pleased with this build. Me being me, I can still see things that I would want to change now, but I can't. I've got to stop building this. I've got other things to do. But I'm always a perfectionist. I'll always see something that I need to tweak and fiddle with and mess about with. But yeah, if you've not built this one yet, whether you're new to Gunpla or not, give it a go. It's one of the older designs now. It's one of the older kits, but it's still great. It's very poseable. I couldn't quite get this part of armour and this part of the knee to fit together properly. I don't know why, they just don't seem to want to lock into place. But absolutely brilliant. The hip guns, they extend outwards, and I'll show you in the photographs in a bit. They come out. The wings fully open and close. You can pose them however you want. They also go backwards and forwards like that. The cannons here, they will come out and rotate round to point over the shoulder. And again, I'll do some photograph poses so you can see that. If you're not using the stand, this is the stand that comes with the kit. There's a little piece in the crotch underneath, you just pop off and the stand goes in there, or you can put the piece back on if you're going to display it not on the stand. I would recommend the stand. Typically these wing Gundam models do come with a stand purely because they're so back heavy. If you try and stand this up, unless you get the pose exactly right, it's going to topple backwards. And even if you get the pose right, it's probably going to topple backwards. And even if it doesn't topple backwards, it's going to topple backwards. So yeah, beware of those things, but absolutely fantastic kit. I think this is much more interesting than the default blue, red and yellow that it came in, or whatever the colours were, now I've forgotten. Little bit of a touch of the old Gundam Bill fighters and the yellow tips on the top there. Bit of the old, I've forgotten what it's called. The Strike Gundam, the main one, the main character's Gundam, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, a bit of that there, a little bit of reference there for me. And I did do a little bit of battle damage, like I said previously, on the cannons here, and on this side as well, and on the skirts at the back. And this was purely where my varnish went a bit weird, and when I did the gunk wash with Starship Filth, I got little brown splotches. I think it's just an imperfection in the varnish. I may have put it on too thick, so I don't know. So I've just added some sort of blasting scorch marks, and that's just dry brush Starship Filth. But I am made up with this. This is fantastic. This is now going to go into my cabinet where it doesn't get covered in dust. And I will probably sell this. In fact, I'm probably going to be selling most of my collection at some point. I've got to figure out the hows and wheres and wherefores of how to do that and where to do that. I don't really want to do it just on eBay, so I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I will be looking soon to sell my collection. And then stuff I build for myself as I go along, I'll be putting up for sale. So stay tuned for that. I don't know. But this will be one that goes up for sale. I'll put it in my cabinet for a while, and then I'll either get bored of looking at it, or I won't want to part with it, but I'll probably sell it anyway. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. Really pleased. But that's going to do it for this build series. Thank you very much everyone who stayed all the way through and watched all of it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned some things along the way. It's the stuff I teach in every video I do, so it's not like it's anything new. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I do have a commission coming up now for the Destiny Gundam. That's going to be the usual, if I do film it, it'll be little quick updates and not an actual build video. But I still have the Mega Size RX-78-2 to do, and I still have the Strike Rouge. I might do the Strike Rouge next, because there's something interesting coming up with that involving me and a certain Tony Fairclough. So more will be revealed in due course. But yes, I think we'll do that one next. But when I do it, I don't know. The Destiny's going to start hopefully the next few days. And as I usually do, weekdays are for my commissions and the weekend is my time when I do my own bits. But I'm running out of space on my desk if I've got the Destiny commission going and I've got a big perfect grade being built. Pieces everywhere. When I've got 2 master grades on the go, I've got all my little trays, I can keep them separate. When it comes to a perfect grade and a master grade, don't know if I've got enough space. So we'll have to wait and see. It might be after the commission that I do the next sort of for me build, where we show everything being built. But anyway, enough waffling. Thank you very much as always for watching. Take care of yourselves. Do feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Go to the Facebook page and follow me on there. It's just facebook.com/modelmaking.guru. On Twitter I am @modelmaking.guru. And my postal address, no, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to give you a bank account or my mother's maiden name either. I know. Well, hey. So yeah, take care of yourselves. We will see you around for the next one, whatever that may be. But until then, as always, from me, from this fellow, which is stonking gorgeous, and from the Master Chief, we will say adios and farewell, and please enjoy the pictures that now follow. Adios, amoebas!